welcome. Dr. Jason Dean, Brave TV, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. I don't know why this feels quiet today. Is it quiet? Is it quiet out there? Is it really, really quiet out there? How's it going out there? How's life? Man, this is a murky, foggy, cloudy time, I think is the best way that I can say it. Anybody else, and I say cloudy, murky, foggy, I don't mean physically, I don't mean in the air. There's that too. I'm talking spiritually. It's a very murky, cloudy, foggy, like time. Right? Just interesting times. Like really, really is. They're going to be spraying for a long time. Don't focus on it. Just clean yourself up the best you can. That is the energy around the world right now is just confusing. It is confusing. Well, you're going to go through confusion to get to the other side. That's always the case. There's also this weird deception thing going on. That everyone's got to be very, very cautious of. Oh, by the way, Chris had something else going on today that he had to bounce onto. So he won't be here. So I'll go a little bit, and I think Nick Nicolette's going to jump on too. My week is crazy this week because I leave for Dallas tomorrow. So, but it's going to be cool because today we'll talk about some stuff. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll do Medical Miss Wednesday tomorrow. Thursday, I will have John Cullen on to discuss the bird avian flu situation that we've talked about a little bit, which will be good. That'll be Thursday. And then, excuse me, welcome to I just threw a cough drop. I have two different cough drops. I have a lemon ginger echinacea, which is delicious. I also have a Thieves. Thieves is good, but it's not as good as the lemon ginger echinacea. I apologize. I try not to cough into They're spraying heavily down here. We are detoxing as fast as we can. What am I doing in Dallas? I will be at the Eco conference in Dallas. So Eco conference in Dallas. I'll get there tomorrow night. So I'll do the show tomorrow afternoon. Fly out. Luckily, it's an easy flight to Dallas, nonstop. And then Thursday, John Cullen. Friday, we'll come up with something. I'll be in Dallas. I don't know where, Dr. Lizzie. I'll be necessarily. But yeah, I'm happy to come on over and we'll have some coffee or something. Who is Dr. Lizzie? I gotta go look. I'm looking to see who Dr. Lizzie is. I have her. I gotta see who it is. Eco conference is exponential clinical outcomes, I believe is what it's named for. It's a Cellcore conference, but it's Eco. So it's all about clinical outcomes, science, cool stuff. But yeah, come on around. I have not been coughing for a very long time. I've been coughing for 3 days. I've ever got it checked out. Here, I'll tell you what happens with coughing. I grew up around smokers. So I know that there's people out there who love, for the last couple of years, oh, you're coughing. I grew up, literally every single person in my family's, every single house that I grew up in smoked. So I still clean crap out of my lungs. Still to this day. Cleaning crap out of my lungs. On top of that, glyphosates. On top of that, God only knows what else, chemtrails. Yeah, there are still times where I can smell the old smoke from what I grew up in. I grew up one of those, anybody else out there? I grew up one of those houses that if you went and washed the wall, like if you went back and washed the wall, you would realize how yellow the walls were. Anybody else grow up in a house like that? I'm curious. Everyone's quiet out there. You're all too quiet. But you are. Okay, I gotta go to her, but then I gotta take you're not Chris Heaven, so I gotta change that real quick. There.
What's up, everybody?
Oh my God. Today is you know what? Are you just having a fun, good old time in this time of chaos that I'm going through? Are you just like, is your life super happy and chummy, and you seem unaffected by anything in the last couple of days?
Yeah. So when you get in, no offense, when you get into certain moods, I just put my nose down to the work that I have on my list.
I'm not in a mood.
Right. I'm saying, like, when things are affecting you, I try to work the opposite end of like the business and see if, I can make things better, whether it's with new affiliates or deals, whatever it is. So I am placing the order. What?
I'm not in so I would admit if I was in a hate everybody mood. I'm not actually in a hater. You know what I'm in? This is what I'm in. Tell me if I get this right. Mm-hmm. I'm in a disappointed with people mood.
Yeah, and I totally get that, which is why
and I'm like, why is no one else seeing this? Like this. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I work hard on the other end to not disappoint you on my end.
No. Oh God, no.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if I can do something to like brighten your mood, like something where you're like really happy, then
I've been happy.
Right. I'm not saying that you're not. You're putting words in my mouth here.
I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird. I'm looking around and I'm looking at people and I'm like, don't you see this? And they're like, what? I'm like, is it?
So the only thing that's been frustrating me is I've had to step back from anything. The video that you sent me, you sent the moderator group yesterday, and we'll go into it a little bit. Sarah.
Oh my God.
That infuriated me.
I texted her. I scanned to the first like 6 minutes when he started his bullshit.
Yeah.
Immediately, as I was listening to that, I was texting her immediately, almost like I had to support her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, you did a good job. Don't mind, I look like a hot mess today. I worked out this morning. I've been cleaning and doing computer work, so it is what it is, but whatever. Yeah. So let's just say what happened. So Sarah Westall, we've had her on the show. Dr. Dean's been on her show. Fantastic lady. I don't watch her stuff regularly.
One of the nicest ladies one of the nicest people in this community that I've ever met, honestly.
Yeah. I have nothing bad to say, and not even remotely bad about her. And she had Rudy Giuliani on her show. And for me, I guess because like you and like Dr. Jen and Lizzie, even though Lizzie's in Boston, like, you guys, you grew up in the era, but you kind of know more about Rudy when he was mayor of New York City. Yeah. So like, you know more about him. So when he came out for Trump, and was representing him in the Stop the Steal stuff or whatever. I don't want to misspeak because I know that Stop the Steal was an actual like organization, whatever. But when he worked with Sidney Powell, I said, this guy, why these people? One, he picked somebody who wasn't she was a never Trumper at first, and then she showed her colors again with Ron DeSantis in the primaries. Jenna Ellis hated it, was not a conservative to begin with, and then supposedly said all this. Sidney Powell fell and took her indictment, whatever. Slap my hands. I don't care. I'm not going to fight for what you might have truly believed in, but my Rudy Giuliani just seemed like such a big joke to me. And you guys are like, oh,
Maybe
he's
it
the
was
one
the
that
hair.
brought.
Maybe it was the hair dye moment. Maybe that like
Even then, it's always been his demeanor and how he speaks. The thing yesterday really bothered me with his like lisp of trying to keep his dentures in. That drove me nuts in that interview. But it just, he didn't, it wasn't somebody that I felt like I could take serious. And I know that we did shows on like Release the Kraken and stuff because at the time, that's what we thought was happening. We thought that that was Trump's team, but um, very much not.
I
And
certainly hope that Rudy Giuliani is not on Donald Trump's team at this point.
no, I don't think he has
Especially
any.
after yesterday. Oh my God.
So they were also in the group with Lynn Wood, who Lynn Wood has been filing lawsuits on a bunch of people in Trump's corner, and we know that they're in Trump's corner. But my point is, yesterday, Sarah Westall had Rudy Giuliani on. I don't even know what they were supposed to talk about because she goes, "I wasn't trying to talk about Israel and Gaza."
He just went off
Uh,
on a tirade and then called her an anti-Semite on camera.
he called her an anti-Semite just because she said she doesn't like
Doesn't like people
is
dying.
she said she doesn't like Israel killing people in Gaza, and she didn't even like specify that, but she's like, well, if we're talking about Gaza, she's like, I just don't like the killings. And she goes, and Rudy was like, that's propaganda. They haven't been killing anybody, and if they have, it's to defend themselves. It's like, okay, like I myself have seen videos of like Israel running people over with tanks and stuff in the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip's completely depleted. So yeah, he was just he called her
But
an
then
anti-Semite.
when he calls Sarah Westall an anti-Semite on camera, and I'm
Yeah.
going,
And he wouldn't
what
let her speak at
is
all. He just
happening?
went off on a tirade like he was on something, if you ask me. But it really bothered me that I was like, I you know me. I don't like either side of it. And I understand why some people on the Israel side are saying if you support Palestine, you support Hamas because so that is like saying
That
if
is
you
a
support
dumb, whoever says that,
yeah.
I would like to say to their face, that is a retarded, stupid statement. And the fact that you even came up with that tells me
Mhm.
that you're either ignorant or stupid, one of the other.
Well, so let me clarify here for a second because people need to understand that Hamas is Palestine's government. It's not just a terrorist organization that lives within their borders. It is their government. And so people are like, well, they chose that. So they're aligned with them. I
We also
love
chose our
America.
government. Look what they turned into.
Right. I said I love America, but I don't defend the fact that, we go to all these other countries and decimate them and steal their resources. That's not an okay thing with me. So to say, and same with Israel. If you support Israel, you support Mossad, is a stupid statement. You can want Israel to be a state. I don't know if you want a two-state solution or what. You can want Israel to be the Holy Land, whatever. But that doesn't mean that you have to support Mossad. So both sides, and you know that this is something that drives me nuts because we talked about it before because it happens in the comments and probably every intersection of any topic. I hate the black and white. I hate it. And people need to learn to look outside of it. We are funding Israel. And then at the same time, you guys, we funded Hamas as well, which is why when Reawaken America at that tour, people were talking about Hamas and defending Israel, um, call out the real bad guys. And unfortunately, it's America. But where did Hamas get their weapons? Oh, well, some of the stuff that we left in Afghanistan, some of the stuff that we sent to Ukraine is unaccounted for and somehow ended up in Iran in Hamas's hands. Not to mention, Iran's this big bad guy. Well, does nobody remember Uranium One and what happened with Hillary?
No, are you asking people to remember that? Where do you think people watch this shit?
Yeah, so that's it. It really bothers me for people to be so black and white on the subject, and especially to the point where Rudy Giuliani is going to disrespect somebody like Sarah Westall. It was like an innocent interview. Absolutely, she said absolutely nothing wrong, and he was an asshole. I'll just say it outright. You
Not
can't
an
sue me for
the asshole's not
defamation
the
for
word.
calling you an asshole. He was an unhinged asshole in that moment. And I it's getting so hard to be like, well, who do you trust? Like,
But you know what I
we
did?
have,
You know what I did
yeah,
though? I started playing out what would have happened if he ended up on my podcast and that same thing went down.
yeah,
And you know what, Nicolette? I'm like, damn it. I wish it was mine. You know why? Because as I looked at what he was doing to her, I would have had to go nuclear on him. And
yeah.
I would have calmly went, okay, Rudy, tell me, why did Building 7 fall in its own footprint? And what did you have over the Port Authority in Building 7?
Right.
Why did Larry Silverstein have an insurance policy on that when you were running the city? Oh, wait, maybe there's Zionists who run the country, the world. Like I would have
So,
calmly, I would have done everything in my power to have him cut the interview.
yeah. So,
Because that one, he deserves it.
right.
Two, I almost want him to make it go viral.
So, one of the things that I try to do, and I try not to speak on it until I understand. So, with Israel, there's terms like Mossad, there's terms like Zionist, Ashkenazi Jews, stuff like that. Um, and I try to define those. And for a while, we sat there and we're like, what exactly does Zionism mean? Because to anybody right now on the Palestine side, all the people that are lining up at these um, colleges, the ones that have a lick of like smarts about what's going on, they think that a Zionist is considered anybody who um, anybody who supports the state of Palestine, like, or not Palestine, of Israel. They support the fact that Israel is a state, even though, Israel hasn't been a state for long. Like, the United Nations made that. Um, so it's amazing to me, you bring up something from the CDC or NASA or something, people are like, but they lie. But yet, this Christian conservative group that loves Israel follows what United Nations has done
Mm-hmm.
without question. Um, but so that's what people are looking at Zionists now. They look at people that say that Israel is a state. Zionism is a whole nother idea of, it's not Judaism. It's not the same. And so a lot of the talking pundits are Zionists. But also Joe Biden has come out and said that he's a Zionist. Jack Posobiec, Bannon, all these people were seen at Zionist dinners, in front of these banners, the whole red carpet type treatment of, this Zionist of America type of deal, like it's a gala. Um, so we have a lot of Zionists in the thing. But at the end of the day, Zionism to me is rooted in Ashkenazis. It's not rooted in Judaism. So I hate everything about it because people are so uninformed on every aspect. Even Rudy Giuliani, to say that they're not killing, but yet they just called drone
he,
strikes on 3 separate countries.
he
Okay, Israel.
he didn't even sound like he was up to date on any like of what was really happening there.
Yeah, he's like, that's propaganda. So they didn't just drone strike Syria, Iran. Like, they didn't do that? Because it's not just Gaza. It's all of these different people that Israel's going after. And if you ask me, yeah, they are aligned with each other. However, those other ones did nothing to them yet, you know? So it's like, how, oh, Israel has the right to defend itself. So why are you bombing Syria again? Honestly, I can't even say again because these are places that people don't talk about enough, like Libya, Syria, all these places that it is just a constant
But let's go backwards.
war there.
Let's go backwards.
Yeah.
For anybody in the chat, here's my question for you, especially as a Christian individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not beating up Christians. I'm just asking a question of you. I know there's some of you out there, and it's fine. Why are you supporting Israel?
Right.
So, if you're willing to, most people are not going to be willing to, but tell me why you're supporting Israel. And when I say support, I'm not saying supporting Israel over. I'm just saying supporting Israel. Why would you say you're a supporter of Israel? Here's the kicker, and I've never understood this. Here's just my logic, and I could be totally wrong because I am not educated in the world of that religious stuff. I'm just not. I've never wanted to be really. When Christians say, because this really is a religious war, it has nothing to do with an actual physical war, right? Because Palestinians are Muslim, is that what it is? And then the Jews, the Israel, the Israelis.
So to them, Palestinians support Sharia law.
Okay.
And
but that's their prerogative.
Okay, but this is a giant problem even in the truther community, and I yell at people for this. Our Constitution says we have freedom from religion. I've literally done TikTok things explaining.
You say freedom from religion?
Yeah. Well, you have the freedom to choose a religion or not
from it. Well, freedom from is like freedom to get away from it, but like you have freedom of religion.
Well, you could choose that if that's what you so to believe.
Yes.
I mean, I could pull out and read the actual. I can read the First Amendment and go through it step by step, but people don't follow that. I just watched something else this morning, and they said, "Well, our founders based everything on Christianity." No, they didn't. Some of them hated the Bible.
Nicolette, I have people who still fight me on that today who are conservatives, and they're like,
right,
the founders said Christianity. I go, no, they did. Where are you getting that from? They did not.
Read the Anti-Federalist Papers. Read other things and be more informed. So, yes, from is accurate.
Okay, thank you, Lizzie. Thank you.
But anyway, my point is, this is America's biggest problem. We have freedom from religion, and love you Christians, but y'all try to push your religion down everybody's throats. Just the same way that pride people try to push that shit down your throats. You want everybody to fall in line, claim Jesus as Lord and Savior. And I am not denying that Jesus is Lord and Savior here, but that's not for everyone. And especially in other countries. We have nothing to do with their government and what they choose over there. So if they want Sharia law in their place, let them fucking have it.
Well, but here's the kicker. People support Israel because of Christianity and Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Israel, made of Jews, the Jews are the ones that put Jesus to death.
Ooh.
I don't understand. Can you help me?
It's anti-Semitic for you to just even say Christ is king now.
I know, but can you help me with this? Like, can you help me with Israel is home of the Jewish people. No one debates that.
Mhm.
Jesus is claimed to be a Jew, but at that moment, I could be wrong in some of these names, but was it not Caesar? No, was it? Who was it? Was it Caesar? Who?
Oh,
Not,
keep going. It's Caesar what? It might be Caesar.
someone asked, who was it that asked if Jesus should be killed or not? I'm getting my Roman stuff mixed up. Again, I'm not.
I'm actually not sure.
But anyway, the point
Like
was,
Pontius Pilate, the one that sentenced him
yes,
to death?
thank you. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking Caesar.
No, I mean,
Pontius Pilate,
same
correct.
same little crown.
He asked the Jewish people and the Pharisees what should happen. And
Yeah.
they set, I think Barnabas, whatever, free.
Mhm.
And the Jews chose Jesus to die.
Yeah.
Can someone educate me on why Christians? Does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I've never understood this.
Just like a lot of people, say that Jesus founded Catholicism. That's a complete and bold-faced lie. Catholicism wasn't around for centuries after Jesus. Like it, yeah, you can take his teachings and say that, but I mean, he didn't found it. He didn't establish a church. And honestly, we were talking about this yesterday. The difference of priests, pastors, all these type of things. I can't name one of them. Obviously, everybody sins. Don't get me wrong. Um, they're not demigods or whatever that aren't sinning and stuff, but they act like it. They act higher above us. And I've never met a single one that walks in the footsteps of Jesus in his actual teachings. I can name hypocrisy and everything that they do. And a lot of the ones yesterday in the chat, people were like, oh, I follow this person. I follow this person talking about religion, scripture type of thing. Well, that in and of itself isn't following Jesus's teachings. The fact that these people have merchandise and I'm not against capitalism and, monetizing, but at the end of the day, that is not at all Jesus's teachings. It drives me crazy to watch this and people be so hypocritical. It's a problem and this is really the root of all problems. And I know some people are going to be saying money, greed, corruption, root of all problems. No, the root of all problems is that people are uneducated. Absolutely uneducated in every aspect of their lives. Doesn't matter if you were lied to. We're figuring out the truth. What's these other people? But the problem is that so many people put up this wall, especially when it comes to religion. Well, this is what I was always taught. The Bible is the truth. Jesus is king. I won't question that because that's a sin. But if you were lied to about everything else, why were you not lied to about that?
Well, here's the next part. I'm not going to name the person who has caused more problems for me, which I don't need right now. You'll know the person. I'll send you the link afterwards.
Yeah.
There is somebody out there, and the person's a good person. I just think there's misunderstandings and stuff. That's fine. The New Thought movement and how terrible it is and how anti-Christian it is. And that everyone's being deceived. And this is my problem. We're going into a new world where people are supposed to wake up to the idea that they're in control of their world. They make the choices every day, right? Why are people pushing back on? So there's these two paths that people are going to go, right? I know my path because I've seen it ring true already. There's this one path where you make no choices in life because at all times, there is a God, and there's no questions, and you really don't even have to do a whole lot of stuff. It's just all handled for you, because if you believe in God, and that's it. Versus there's it's called the New Thought community, but it's really not. That's not what it is. Which is Christ consciousness. And this is like a swear word now in like the world of Christianity, right?
Right.
The very idea, Nicolette, that you can make a decision and a choice in life, go with that decision and make a difference in your world, and that if you do that, you will be considered to have taken God out of your life. Because if you don't believe God has the best things for you, and if you believe that you have the power of decision making, that must mean that you believe you're God and there's nothing else, and you are now, not only are you a sinner now, you're a bad person, because you're now summoning evil spirits through magic. I don't know where this comes from. I don't know.
New Age, um, the people trying to define the New Age religion. I understand what you're saying, and to me, if you go back to God as the source and the creator and follow the actual teachings, there's nothing more ancient than that type of thought process. So I don't understand. I've never understood the New Age type of, when people slander it, like, oh, you're New Agey.
So, this
I was
is
looking for something.
this is the description on it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Christ consciousness equals Jesus didn't come here to die for people's sins, but to show how to be like God. New Thought believes that people who learn Christ consciousness can actually tap into their divine nature and harness the same mystical power that God has through right thinking. They believe Jesus was just another spiritual teacher, not the second person of the Holy Trinity. What kind of mystical power cult magic is this? How about the law of attraction? Goes through like Oprah stuff and things like that. And then basically it's cult-like, and that you have no you have no power to think your way through. I can't say it without like laughing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, and this is why I put the title for today. We're in one big repeated loop. Why do I say that? This is what every time I ask this question of a quote unquote, and when I say believer, I believe I'm a believer, but I don't believe I believe the same way other people do.
Correct.
Why is it that when I ask somebody of faith, why there's constant cycles throughout history and there's always a Jesus-like person in each cycle? And when I ask that question, they call me a liar and they tell me that's fake and false teaching. What? But it's archaeological data. I don't understand. This is why I struggle in life.
That barrier.
Nicolette, this is why I struggle on a daily basis.
I know. So I recently got a backpack out of my parents' closet that was from high school. I was specifically looking for it because I had some music stuff in there. But in it, I found my philosophy notes from my senior year of high school. And I was going through it yesterday, which kudos to me. I feel like I used to have better handwriting.
By the way, real quick, let me interrupt
Yeah.
you on this because you need to be interrupted.
Okay.
Nicolette has been doing this for several years with us now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere yesterday, she drops like a notebook of material on us.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, which is this profound thinking of her in I think high school, correct? College?
Well, there was one paper from college, but this is high school.
Profound philosophical thinking at high school and college. And she's like, "Oh, I just wrote this stuff up." I'm like, "Do you realize how you were thinking? Like
And it's
when you were
funny
a kid?"
It's funny because I wasn't in this world.
But there was so
Yeah.
so deep.
Yeah, so I was going to this. So this was everybody's been talking about the fall of the Roman Empire, correct? Okay, so Middle Ages 500 to 1500 AD, fall of Rome, Reformation, first this is a Renaissance era. Okay. So the medieval philosophy most people falsely call Middle Ages, Dark Ages, think nothing happened. Monasteries became places of learning. So this is when they implemented universities basically to teach religion. Let just grasp that for a second. You
Say that
guys look
again.
at
Say that again
universities.
say that again for the hungry crowd.
This is the time monasteries became places of learning. So universities begin and they're started by monks, therefore religious focus.
Monasteries start
Hmm.
universities.
Yes.
Oh,
So we talk about all the parallels to what's happening right now to the fall of Rome.
I don't feel like
I
our
want
college campuses today are
I want people
the
to
same
understand that.
thing.
Everybody hates the universities now. All right, anyway. Um St. Thomas Aquinas was one of them who fell into this. He's also a philosopher. He's not just a saint or whatever, but his major question was the relationship between faith and reason. Um, and then I'm
Can
trying to
I can
think.
I set up
He
can I set up an interview for you and I just watch you tear somebody down?
maybe depends who it
It's a
is.
joke. I don't want to do that because
Oh, okay.
you might harm them. But what you're talking about is so on point.
So this is important because it has to do with what we do now. So Aristotle also had this question, and he believed that you cannot have faith without also having reason. You have to have both. Like
Yep.
both are whatever. So
That's why I always tell you I need some science to back up that faith.
okay, so
That's
we
reason.
were we were just talking about Muslims, Islamics, Christians. So Muslims know Aristotle.
Ooh.
Islamics believe Aristotle even more. Christians believed in Plato's take on the things, and Christians began to get Aristotle uh, because Muslims brought it over to Spain.
Okay. Well,
So Christians weren't always in this faith and reason, and eventually faith trumped the reason. They weren't always in that mindset.
so very often, and we've talked about this in our hopium days. I'll
Hmm.
say, "Whoops, you should not have that on your
It's
face."
okay.
Hold on.
I mean, it's okay for two
You're not
seconds.
Terrell.
But
There you go. Reason, a cause, an explanation, or justification for an action or event. This is why I always say there's got to be a reason that's happening. Like, yes, we can have faith. Like, yes, there's bricks is being set up, but we need to what is the we need to see how that actually works. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, this is just my notes. I'm going to read it. It says the key question, the relationship between faith and reason. Reason leads you to belief. Faith leads you to believe in God. And then it says faith and reason are both necessary. But with that, you have things like the senses. Firsthand knowledge based on what to believe, based on what others say, is faith. But I follow Descartes very much alike because he's the one that says I am who I am. He was he questioned life beyond yourself. The same I he proved, you can't believe just because of your senses. Your senses can trick you, you know. But you also can't rely just on the mind because your mind, as we all know, research bias and stuff.
Most people don't have control over their mind anyway.
Right. Um so yeah, I just it's funny how this stuff comes to it because you know, and this is the part that I came across yesterday and it was funny because it was while Tara was on and there's stuff that um like I said, I like to define terms so that way I understand what they are. And I have the definitions here of like empiricists and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, we're dealing with a whole lot of the same stuff right now. Um, yeah, but I don't like when, so like an empiricist is sensory perception and logic leads to truth, but then there's other, especially like the Christian community, that'll just say, well, Jesus equals truth. That's one of the very things that my Greek Orthodox philosophy teacher said to me, and I specifically remember this day in high school. He said, Jesus is truth, Jesus is light, Jesus is love. Those aren't something that you can perceive with your senses. And I said, that's not a suffice answer to me, just saying that it's Jesus. Like, I understand love isn't a physical thing that you can touch, smell, see, whatever, but saying that it equals Jesus is a cop out to me in the Christianity realm. He's an example of love, light, and truth, but he isn't that very thing.
Well, anybody can be a carry a message of love and, well, define self-sacrifice. That I don't love the self-sacrifice thing because I like. Okay,
Yeah.
here's a dangerous road. Ready?
Hmm.
Nicolette, do you think anybody is going to sacrifice their entire self for all of humanity?
I don't know.
Sacrifice themselves. I didn't say, I literally sacrifice themselves. Like, take themselves out for all of humanity. A physical, like, that's where I
I
struggle. The physical body is such a ridiculous thing
yeah,
that why would you
I do.
need that to prove a point?
I do. I don't think that it's sane to an extent. I mean, I'm trying to understand this because I get what you're saying, but I also get from the side of like military, like I'll risk myself for others.
Not
But
for
also,
all of humanity.
I mean, some people, it depends on the root of the belief. Just like the man who just lit himself on fire in front of Trump's thing,
I
his
find that to be a
belief,
mental health issue.
right? Like I said, it's not a sane thing. You're not going to actually, you think you're making a difference, but it's not,
Okay,
you know,
let me use this. Let me use this for.
every grave at one point goes
Let's say the all is
unvisited.
okay. Is a 30-some-year-old person going to make an ultimate sacrifice for everybody?
Not sanely.
Not sanely.
No.
This goes back to this goes back to, did I ever tell you the story when I was in chiropractic school and my buddy, good friend of mine still, we always had spiritual debates, religious debates. We had like fun. We used to get heated debates. It was so much fun, right?
Mhm.
And he said, and I was kind of also being a jerk too, because I knew he was trying to get me to say something. And he goes, "Do you believe that he died for sins that day?" And I go, "I don't know. I can't tell you that." He's like, "What do you mean?"
I
I go, "I
want to know
wasn't."
what they define by sins.
No, ready? I go, "I wasn't there."
Mhm.
He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I wasn't there. I didn't see
Right.
it happen."
Right. Which that very much right there is the faith and reason argument. That's a very great question. One, I wasn't there, but I've always asked the question, what sins did he die for? Because I still technically sin every day.
Everybody sins on a daily basis. Everybody
Right.
makes mistakes on a daily basis.
Right. So, and I hate the idea of the original sin. If you ask me, original sin is the fact that we're in meat suits. We're not supposed to have this worldly possession. We're not supposed to hold. Our lives don't matter in the meat suit. So while yes, we say to detox and stuff like this, the fear of death is the fear of your meat suit dying. You shouldn't have that fear. It's a worldly possession. So I think that that would be the original sin because we have this innate defense to protect it, even from birth. Babies flip over in the water. Your body automatically creates prunes, like on your fingers and stuff in the water to help you try to get a grip and help you survive. So maybe that's the original sin. That's how I look at it. But other than that, I've never understood the original sin argument because, one, how could a baby sin? I don't believe, I've said this before, I don't believe anybody's innately evil. That's another philosopher. They also believe that evil is the absence of good. Like there is a level or
Yeah.
whatever, and it teeters one way or the other, but nobody, there's, it's the same as like the color wheel and color mixing. Black is the absence of all colors, or white is the absence of all colors, whereas black is all colors. It's not, then that's not how people look at good and evil.
So I got the $1 million question last night. You ready?
Yeah.
You'll get these two. You're already getting
Mm-hmm.
some of them, but I got the one. So last night, watching something with Leah, and this stupid Jesus commercial comes on.
One of those Jesus, like the ones from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So they're on. And so it's me on the couch, my wife, and Leah, and it comes on. And and Leah goes, "Isn't that commercial you don't like?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
Just Jesus doesn't do that. And I go, "No, Jesus washed feet." She goes, "Then why don't you like it?" I go, "Because he didn't wash feet of those people." Because the last scene is a priest washing the feet of essentially a trans person. Like it looks like a trans person, right? Either trans or like over the top flamboyantly gay. And she goes, "Well, what's the problem with it?" And I go, she goes, "He washed feet." I go, "He washed feet of people who made mistakes. But when he washed the feet, they were essentially reborn again."
Yeah,
From a soul, and then they stop making the same mistakes. Mm-hmm. I go, this commercial is telling you
it's
that
okay to be
he'll wash your feet, and then you can keep making the same negative, degenerative mistakes over and over again, because the person that's being washed right there is making harmful over and over decisions. And they're saying that Jesus is telling them it's okay to do that. That's not what Jesus did. Jesus washed feet. He washed feet of people who changed themselves.
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah.
Like, you just got to be logical with these kids. Like,
well, and it's the same in this is how it should be. It's the same in the church. People that find God later in life, they might have hit rock bottom in a way or not, whatever. And they want to be born again Christians and cleansed of their sins. You're vowing to not ever do that again. You're vowing to be a better person and be part of the community, of the church, and be one of the disciples of Jesus to pass on his teachings. But very much a lot of times that's not the case. And that's like we said, everybody sins, everybody makes mistakes. But it's the consciousness of knowing those mistakes again. Which that's a whole nother thing. I didn't really want to go in this deep into religion today. I feel like every time I'm on, we go into deep in religion.
That's your thing. It's okay. My day got thrown upside down, so it's not a big deal. Today was more
because of the Israel thing, and we see it in the comments, and so a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, we're not all pro-Israel. We understand." Like, I literally just had somebody in the comments earlier say, "Oh, these people are denying Jesus Christ. I'm out."
Wait, somebody said that in the comments?
Yeah, it's always the same person that's saying Jesus is your Lord and Savior, and you need to accept Him.
That one. Didn't that? Oh no, that was the same ass.
Yeah.
That earlier said, "Dr. Dean, you have a cough again. Shouldn't you maybe get that checked into?"
Yeah.
Like, don't be a douche. Like,
I don't deny Jesus at all. I don't deny
you don't
God.
have,
I
you don't
don't
even have, but
deny
you don't have to defend
our
yourself.
existence. Right. But once again, I am like, first and foremost, and the things that I'm fighting for right now is that I'm a constitutionalist, and it bothers me when somebody comes at me as if I have to even frame my form of Christianity in your view. I'm made in the image of God, not in the image of you and your church's teachings. So it really bothers me that people push like that, because I understand you're trying to spread Jesus's message. That's not the way to do it. It is not the way to do it by being a judgmental asshole and telling me I'm going to be sentenced to hell and eternal damnation if I don't say his name, love his name, and recognize his name in the way that you do. So
True
I
story.
just, yeah, I mean, and that's literally what's wrong with the Christian conservative movement right now. And like I said, it's pushing, just like you guys got so sick of the pride stuff and you're like, "Oh, we allowed gay marriage," and they just push the envelope more and more and more. And you guys are doing the same on the other side. Me and Dr.
Um,
Jen were just talking about this. Abortion, you know, it's one thing if your state wants to outlaw abortion, that's in the Constitution. They're allowed to do that. But then something that somebody doesn't have control over their body autonomy, and a miscarriage should not be deemed as abortion. Like that's
oh,
so once again, black and white, pendulum swinging the other way.
Somebody just had that, Nicolette, on Twitter, and I don't know. I didn't save it because I was so abhorred by it. I should have saved it and showed you, because apparently there's two podcasters who are Christian nationalists. I swear to God,
Yeah.
they claim, I couldn't watch it. They claim that if a woman gets an abortion, she should be put to death immediately, no matter what. And I went, and I saw the tagline of that, and I was like, you know what? I can't even watch that. That's so abhorrent to me to think something like that. Like, even if a woman was a drug addict, like hooker, destroyed her life, trying to destroy her life, on welfare, has a couple kids, she gets multiple abortions, or a girl in college who gets multiple abortions because I don't care who they are. Sorry, I'm gonna be kind of like Jesus here, right? I'm gonna say, you know what? If you try to murder her, I'm going to step in front of her.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, she makes a lot of mistakes. She needs to like really clean up her act, and that's not appropriate.
This isn't her
but
lifetime.
you're not gonna jail her or kill her for making those kinds of mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't her lifetime to, and maybe it is to turn a thing, but you know, the more mistakes you make, the more awakening you have to do. And she'll realize, but this life of her doing that is to teach her. She likely will be reincarnated again, and okay, figure it out this time. Hope you do better. That's really what it is. And
right, and it's not even necessarily my job to fix them or clean them up, but it might be my job to stand in front of them and say, no, we're not doing this. They're going to go get help somewhere, and they may not even make it through the help, but you're not killing in the name of your stupid dogmatic bullshit.
Yes, 100%. It is not for us to judge. So when somebody, my number one thing is the Christian conservative saying Israel has a right to defend itself. I said,
Doesn't Gaza?
Shouldn't God be taking care of the retaliation?
Don't the
if he
Palestinians have a
deems
right
it?
to defend themselves?
Shouldn't God be taking care of that? If you guys want to blame it on, it's the Holy Land and all
What
that.
happens? What happens if the law changes on abortion and people continue to do it? Here. Let me give you my opinion.
I'm sorry.
Let me give you Let me give you my opinion in the form of not abortion. I come from a family who has a long line of domestic alcohol and drug abuse. I never was into it. I never got caught up in it, but I have family members who killed themselves over it. I have a mom who was an addict, who's a recovering addict, etc. I still to this day believe in legalizing drugs. I don't drink myself. I haven't drank in probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something like that. I have no desire. It's not something I have to do because I have to stay away from it. I can have a beer right now and have no problem not having another one. I don't have anything on alcohol. I've never done a drug in my life. I believe drugs should be legalized, not because I think they're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody starts taking drugs and alcohol again and again and again,
It's on them.
it's on them. You have to stop making people's choices for them. And
Yeah.
and again, if there's an addict and you're gonna try to like kill them for being an addict, I'm gonna step right in front of them and I'm gonna stop you from doing it. Just like if you try to imprison the person who gets repeated abortions and is not taking care of their body, I'm still gonna step right in front of them and not allow you to do it. I'm not judging them or you. I'm just stopping you from doing. You don't get to commit an atrocity on somebody else because now I'm not going to stop you from putting Hunter Biden to justice. That's a different story because we're all coming together and saying, hey, this person hurt lots and lots
like
of people.
sending
And
him
that's a
to,
law situation. That's not a,
I was gonna
this
say, sending him
person,
to prison
right,
is another, it isn't taking one's life. Honestly, you're gonna
right.
get 3 meals a day and live out your life in prison. Well, I'm not saying prison is easy. It's whatever. But my point is, um, did you see the did you see the campaign ad that Newsom posted? Might have been 2 weeks ago about Roe versus Wade and abortion issues.
No, I haven't watched anything from California.
Okay, so I'll summarize it for you. It's this two ladies, and one is very, very worried, and they go and they're really close to the state lines. They're driving, and the one says, um, we're almost there. We're going to make it. And a cop pulls them over before they get to state lines. And he pulls them over and says, ma'am, I'm going to need you to take a pregnancy test because in the ad was for saying conservatives, want to jail you for going to another state to have an abortion or like rights over your body, the way that they, whatever. And people were laughing at it like, this is crazy. And I'm like, you realize this is true, though, right? Like, no, they're not going to pull you over, and they're not going to pull you over and make you take a pregnancy test. But this is what conservatives are pushing for. And this is why I'm trying to, like, I'm sitting here like Paul Revere. Yes, I understand you hate leftist, progressive, whatever. But y'all need to be careful about pushing it the other way so hard because the pendulum always swings back and both sides lead to totalitarianism, communism, authoritarianism. Like, we don't want that. I don't think people understand. They think, "Oh, it's great. My state banned abortion." Okay. Well, did you guys know, and I will literally read you the text message of the invitation I got. I health-wise, no, I don't think that people should take birth control. But I'm also not naive, and I know that a lot of females would probably have 20 kids if they didn't have access to birth control and other things like that. I have a friend who has 4 kids. Pull-out method doesn't always work. They're not always great at it. So, sorry for little ears if there's around. My point is, though, I got this text message asking me to go to a pro-life meeting where they also want to ban birth control. So, wait. Now it's not just abortions you guys want to ban. You want to ban every way possible to prevent it. And that doesn't make sense to me because you're preventing the conception. That I will say is not a life yet. So I hate that. And conservatives are you guys, it's not just abortions. They're going to push the envelope even further. So, like you said, that the left side, yeah, they started at 15 weeks, 16 weeks, and they pushed the envelope all the way to late term abortion. And now you guys are like, nope, we're just going to ban abortions outright. Now they're trying to also ban birth control. That's not the way to do it.
I
Like
understand.
yeah, Handmaid's Tale. There was so many articles while Trump was president about Handmaid's Tale, blah blah blah. I don't think people realize that very much could become a reality. Are we going to go back to where women can't show their ankles? They have to dress conservatively to that point where you can't show an inch of your skin and your husband dictates everything that you do. And I'm not a feminist by any means, but y'all need to be careful what you ask for with the pendulum swinging.
Yep, I agree. Um, any
I'm
questions before? Go ahead.
Well, really quick, the whole conversation started on the Israel Palestine thing. I'm I don't like Jewish kids getting attacked on campuses. But I will say this: let that happen. Let them destroy campuses. Let them stop the indoctrination process. Because guess what? The government's finally saying, let's take away federal funding from these places. I don't want federal funding there. They say that they're private institutions. Why are we federally funding them then? So, if this is what it takes for the government to wake up and quit the federal funding to universities, I'm all for it. Go for it. Y'all can sit there in your camps, as gross as it is, poop on the ground, whatever. The place is trash anyway, and you're only hurting yourself. Do it. Because you can't. I don't know. Like, to me, I don't think people really understand. People think that it's like an absolute horrible thing that they're popping off. These people don't know what they're chanting, belief system, whatever. They don't have much say. They're not there, um, actually being destructive. They're like, oh, well, this UCLA kid couldn't get to class. These Palestinian protesters were blocking him. Okay, demolish the whole education system there anyway. UCLA is a trash school. I don't care.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
Occupy Democrats.
Any questions before we run today? We lost about 100 plus people live streaming because they don't like
But
our
I 100% agree with
they don't
that.
like our of course, people. Of course. That's why it's so hilarious when people can't have a conversation on it and be like, we need to lock it all down. It never happens again. Like, what? Dude,
Like, do
like
people?
what else is illegal out there? Wait, drugs are illegal, yet there's meth houses all over the place. There's coke houses all like, do people not realize this still happens?
I don't think people understand. So the reason why I'm so libertarian in these aspects is like, let them do what they want to do, bet hands off, type of thing. Because when regulation comes in, then they absolutely won't, like, it ruins things. So the war on drugs, for example, that was just so they can jail people, tax you more, and at the end of the day, and many people that are parents know this, when you tell your kid to absolutely not do something, what happens?
They do it.
Yeah, it makes them want to do a lot of those things. So with that, they were able to sell you those things in other forms and say, oh, well, this one's made in a lab, even though Ritalin is, you know, pretty much the same as the street drug. That's why they regulated it, is so they can then make money off of it.
Of course.
Meanwhile, I mean, Is this not survival of the fittest, Darwinism, you know, let things happen? If somebody is going to OD, sorry, it was their choice. They picked up whatever. I'm that's a sucky thing to say, but that's where we're at. Everybody's preaching, "Oh, I have free will to say what I want. I have free." Yeah, they have free will to pick up that drug and whatever. Like
Well,
I
but here,
don't think it would be as big of a problem if there wasn't regulations put on it.
but let me bring something else to you because Lizzie's
Yeah.
talks about they brought the drugs to our shores. Here we go. Do you know who's at fault?
The
Ready?
CIA.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Sorry, everybody. Can anybody out there tell me who is at fault for our drug and fentanyl crisis?
The CIA.
No.
Well, fentanyl is the Purdue family and Big Pharma.
Nope. Not them either.
Who?
Anybody else out there? Thank you, Nick. You're at fault. We're at fault.
Yeah.
You know why we're at fault? Why do people need drugs? Why do people need fentanyl? Why do people need opioids? Stop blaming everybody else. Why?
Yeah.
Here's why. We consume 80% of the world's opioids and we're only 5% of the population. Why are we the problem? Well, Dr. Dean, no, you don't understand. Pharma companies, you're the problem. Why? Because you won't change your ways. You won't stop eating the bullshit food. You won't stop getting the vaccinations. You won't stop the other medications. Your body becomes radically inflamed. You're in pain and you keep going to the drug dealer for the legal drugs. That's the problem. Because trust me, I drive into the office this morning. Every single morning I drive to the office. Every single afternoon I drive back to the office. I take a left into the street, and two lefts before I get to my office, there's a pain clinic. I know every single person in that driveway that goes into that pain clinic are getting opioids.
Is marijuana legal down in Florida?
You have to have a card, I think.
Okay, so that pain clinic also, they're probably getting legalized marijuana there.
I don't think that one, no, because they're a medical doctor. I don't think they're getting, I think that, but across the street you can get the CBD and all the pain, whatever, right?
I was going to say, well, they have medical marijuana.
I don't think they do, because I think that they stand the up and up from a standpoint of a doctor standpoint, like a medical, but you could, yes. However, every single damn one of those people that I see get out of their vehicle, walking in on their crutches or their walker or in their wheelchair or whatever else, every single one of them has brought on the problem themselves, because guess what? I bet you they're not eating good food. I bet you they're not drinking water. I bet you they're not taking care of themselves. This goddamn idea that we're supposed to be blaming everybody for all these, the fentanyl problem, of course, CIA's involved. Of course, the Bushes were involved. Everybody, I totally get all that stuff, right? But guess what? It wouldn't come across if America wasn't consuming it all. Okay, why are your kids doing drugs, everybody? Oh, wait, my kids not really. Why are the majority of kids, why are there gigantic amounts of kids in colleges who have a Zoloft and Adderall addiction? And they're not using it because they have a serotonin problem. They're not using it because they have a neuro. They're using it because they're trying to keep their fucking minds going for ridiculous tests and keep their grades up, to keep you, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa at home
so proud of them for that fucking piece of paper that means absolutely nothing, and the debt that comes along with it. It's absolutely a problem. And I completely,
your kids are consuming the fucking drugs, everybody.
I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, I would say like Boomer and Gen X generation are big ones that consume a lot of drugs. I know that people like don't see it, but like I absolutely, I do think that that's obviously a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs. I can't imagine how many Boomers are on, like you said, most Americans are on for prescriptions. I can't imagine boomers are the ones that have like a shit ton right now.
Oh yeah.
But you're absolutely right, because when it comes to it, like when people ask me about abortion, or people ask me like even about drugs or whatever, part of the reason why I cannot care is because it doesn't affect me. I always say, well, I'm pro-life for myself because I can never picture myself going through with something like that, and I personally believe that it's a baby at conception and blah blah blah. Um, but I'm not going to put that blame on other people who don't see it the way that I do or aren't in the same position that I do, because I can't judge their life. Somebody could literally be living on the streets or something like that and get raped. And I know that rape is a bad like out because it's less than 1% of abortions and stuff, but you guys get what I'm saying is if I choose not to do it for myself, I choose not to do it. So it's the same with drugs.
Um,
Everybody can make that choice to ever pick up that needle, to ever take that pill. I don't care if they prescribed it to you. It's your choice of taking that or not. I've gotten
um,
plenty of prescriptions written for me that I was like, I'm not going to fill that.
what do I think about mushrooms? I think if you're using like nutritional mushrooms that are for nutritional benefit, fine. I think hallucinogenic are bullshit. I think anybody, okay, here we go. I'll end on this.
I totally agree, Nick. You get what I'm saying, though.
I'll end on this. Anybody that believes they need to take a hallucinogenic, I think
Yeah.
you're caught in the trap still.
The point
You
is,
you stop thinking you need something. Wait, so you think you need something from the Matrix to break the Matrix? That doesn't even make sense.
yeah, I don't understand that whole world anymore. And it's funny because
I want to break the Matrix, so I'm going to use the Matrix to break the Matrix. What? But wait, I thought God was within.
Head on a second.
Sorry.
Because this is a good conversation because I
No,
know
I
you're
don't
trying to
believe
wrap.
it. I don't agree with anybody getting high. No, I'm not. I come from a family of drug addicts and alcoholics. No, getting high is a stupid thing.
You see this? It's hard to see because my thing's blurry. This was me in high school, literally drawing pot leaves on my homework while I went to a Catholic school and thought that I was cool, but at the same time, um, I hated my life at that time. And like you just said that it's kids trying to get through stuff, and like I was very damaged at this time. I had the worst diet possible. I was prescribed, actually, this was the year I was prescribed. I was on Zoloft at the time. I was depressed. I was suicidal. And I got high all the time in my senior year because I hated my reality. So anything now that even numbs my mind a little bit and takes me away from any point of reality, I hate it. So I don't understand these people that are like, and I know Indians used whatever fire water or
No,
whatever
they
the
hated
hell,
firewater. They used
peyote.
nicotine.
Didn't they use peyote and stuff too?
They may have, but the
Whatever.
Indians
To
also
take their
fell. So
spiritual journeys, but in that taking a step back in that spiritual journey, what else are you looking for beyond your life as it exists now? Like, I feel like the only reason why people want to do that is to try to find deeper purpose and meaning beyond their life as they know it now.
well,
And
but here's the question.
that's not a fix.
Correct. I lost my train of thought.
It's hard for people to find purpose.
Well, no,
I
here.
mean,
Why does a successful person who they're doing great themselves, they have a
mhm.
great family, they have great friends, they're successful business-wise, they're productive, their community likes them, they do philanthropy things, they do all these things that supposedly are really great, right? People ask them for help because they get things done, they get things accomplished. They don't do any drugs, they don't drink, they don't do any of that stuff, or they moderately drink or whatever, nothing bad. Why is it okay for them to spiritually be great that way, but a person over here believes that they have to be spiritually okay by taking a drug?
Yeah.
But yet, if you look at the person who's taking the drug, I guarantee you their productivity and their artistic outlooks or artistic things that they do are not of the person over here. Meaning, do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. No, I 100% do, because my productivity went way downhill. I quit all sports, and I was somewhat into music, but I productivity big time went down when I was going through that and smoking weed and stuff like that in high school. I haven't touched it since senior year. I actually had a freak thing happen, and it scared the shit out of me, so I won't ever touch it again. But even like alcohol as an adult now, I am with friends playing cards or something. I'm like, I don't have to drink to have a good time. I don't even know why we do that. Like, why do people do that in a setting of
To
like,
escape.
congratulations? You know what I hate? Times that I could have had that I was drunk and I don't remember.
Yep.
Especially when it's a great thing like weddings, a concert. And I'll tell you what, being the sober one, going to concerts now, you drunks make it horrible. But
Oh my goodness.
it is definitely people unhappy with their lives. But I feel like a lot of people look to the outside world to make things happy, but just like free will, it's your choice to be happy or not.
They
We've
look
talked about a lot about
for
free.
a matrix physical way to be happy versus the internal way of happiness. And when you do the internal way of happiness, you make everything out there more fun. And so you can actually go and do something and already be enjoying it, right? Like people
100%.
who are super successful, very productive in life, why do they not take weekends off? Why is it hard to get them to take vacations? Because they're happy. They're not
Yeah.
looking for the next day off. They don't need the day off. They're just having fun. They're producing and they're enjoying life. So yeah, they'll take a vacation, but sometimes it's actually hard to do that.
I'm going to end on this because Hillary, I absolutely agree. It says, ironically, to come full circle, religion is one of the safeguards of American family in order to instill values in their children. I get that it is a gateway to instill values, but my kids know nothing of religion. And they still are polite. They still have values. They still have morals. It, you really don't, they have a sense of community. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing, but I don't feel like at the same, like it is a good thing, but you can do it with or without church and religion. I like the teachings of the Bible and those morals of the story, and I feel like that can be done without the push of, well, you have to believe this. I let my son ask me questions, and he comes to the right answers because I've instilled those moral ethics into him without the Bible. So,
Bingo, everybody. Hey.